London is in a death spiral.
Move in and lock down the city.
Destruction is always the cure.
The city needs a resistance, and it starts with you. Let's take back London.
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to This Week in Geek, and this is kind of a special prototype, kind of one of those things that was supposed to come out a couple of days ago, but I've literally been powering my way through this as quickly as I possibly could. I'm going to be reviewing Watch Dogs Legion on the Xbox One. We will also have coverage on the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 once we get hardware in hand. I will also be comparing this with Alex a little bit later on, again, once we have hardware in hand. Now, codes for this game were provided to us via Ubisoft, and I am playing this on an original Xbox One, so this may not be representative of the final gameplay experience that you may have on an Xbox S or an Xbox X itself. So I'm playing on the good old VCR Xbox One. And overall, I guess I should talk a little bit about my history with the Watch Dogs franchise. I've actually been a pretty big fan of this franchise for a very, very, very long time. Back when it was a Xbox One and a PS4 game, I remember seeing the thing at one of the E3s and getting really excited for it. Basically, it was pitched to me as Grand Theft Auto, but with hacking. And it always kind of skirted the line between the right kind of storytelling that I wanted from a game and kind of blending that with a more technological edge, a little less goofy humor that, say, the Grand Theft Auto series was kind of known for at the time, with it being compared against Grand Theft Auto 5 and other games of that era. And Watch Dogs has always had kind of one foot in the cyberpunk future. Basically, there's this huge system known as CTOS, which helps run cities via automation and drones and sort of future technologies, which maintains everything from the sewer lines to telephone wires to all sorts of technological advancements that happen in your everyday life. And the first game featured asshole with a trench coat, aka Aiden Pierce, who was a likable enough protagonist, though I don't remember a lot about his story. I remember more about the DLC and I think the character T-Bone than I do anything else, but I remember Aiden Pierce had a very distinctive look with him, his hat, which I actually got one of the Watch Dogs influencer kits many years ago, and I actually still do wear my Watch Dogs DedSec hat to this very day. I actually just had a chance to get it out of storage a little while ago, and that has been pretty cool to have out there again. I also have the original face mask somewhere for this game, so that's kind of cool and surprisingly useful in the year of our dumpster fire, 2020. The second game came out with Marcus Holloway and moved things off to San Francisco with the Bloom Corporation, and I think they were the people behind developing CTOS, and that city going fully automated. And that game, I felt, had a lot of personality to it. Like, it was out in California, things were bright, they were sunny. Marcus was a remarkably likable character. He had a bunch of really cool characters in DedSec with him. Like, I think the guy's name was Wrench, the guy with the electronic mask who kind of looked like, Deadmau5, which I randomly went to school with Deadmau5's brother back in Niagara College. Couldn't tell you a word about him, though, but whatever. So Watch Dogs Legion, when this started being known and promoted, I got really excited. The fact that you could play as anybody, and that's kind of cool. Like, you can literally recruit anybody off the street. You may have to do a mission or two for them to get them, but most of these people will fight by your side and fight for DedSec. So the storyline sets up in a post-Brexit London, where there has been a terrorist attack, and the government and a group known as Zero Day are blaming DedSec for it because of insurgency and shenanigans ensue. And what you get is a tale of like false flag attacks, sort of resetting the clock back to zero. Very Fight Club-esque in a way at times in its kind of message, but say, what happened if we all went back to zero, so to speak. If I did have one major complaint about this game, is I think it takes its future tech setting a little too far. Like, this almost feels like something you'd see out of Shadowrun, where they talk about organ legging and transhumanism, basically when you neural map somebody's brain pattern to a cyborg body or whatnot. Like, there's one point in which you run into a dog who's had its neural map copied over into a spider bot, and another woman who basically like lobotomizes her mom into the house AI, and that's really fucking weird. And I don't know, it's almost a little too high tech for Watch Dogs, yet it does suit the aesthetic of having robots and drones and everything, and that is still tremendously fun. It just seems a little too far out there. I liked how Watch Dogs 1 and 2 were near future. This is like not quite Blade Runner sort of shit, where you have like literally flying cars, but you can have like drones that fly around and do all sorts of crazy shit. But storyline wise, I liked Watch Dogs 2 better. And not having a named protagonist is a little bit hard to wrap your head around, because they always just call you the DedSec operative. Although the character that you play as does have a name. In fact, the game that I played through, I got very, very lucky. I recruited a Albion, who is like a military PMC guy fairly early on, and he had a bunch of really cool perks where I got a M249 squad automatic weapon, which is this really cool heavy machine gun. I could take less damage. I could get into areas I couldn't normally be able to get into with my uniform. I was like a tough drunk, so I was very resistant to damage, and I had a baton, which meant I dealt additional physical damage when I was doing kind of melee combat. One of the big differences here is I feel like combat was a little bit more well-rounded in Watch Dogs 1 and 2. Like, for some reason, I seem to think you got different guns in those games. I don't remember that. I didn't get a chance to go back and check. But you're limited into what you can carry. I mean, obviously through DedSec, you're given a variety of non-lethal weapons, but you do have to purchase those with tech points. You can't go to a shop in this and just buy guns. The money you earn in-game is purely cosmetic from what I can tell. In fact, I have more money than I know what to do with. And I have more tech points than I know what to do with. In fact, pro tip, if you want to make this game a real cakewalk, is go around and free all the boroughs first and collect all the tech points you can find. And if you gain all the drone hacks right away, you are ridiculously overpowered in the beginning of this game. In fact, that's how I played. Like, that's how I typically play most Ubisoft games. Is I go around and do a lot of the side shit first, and then I'm able to tackle the storyline in one straight line with all my abilities, and I found that to be the best way to play this, was by doing that. Let me see. What else can I say about this? Okay, so I want to talk about performance for a minute. So I encountered multiple crashes with this game, playing this on an old VCR style Xbox One. I had multiple freezes, hard locks, console freezes, where I was resetting during an average night's play session. I would have at least 5 or 6 crashes. So I don't think it's unfair to say that this game does not run optimally on the original Xbox One hardware. From what I've heard, other people are not having this experience with the X or the S. So I guess your mileage is going to vary. I do notice a lot of frame rate drops when things pop in the background. Cars seem to stutter at a difference. And when you're doing too much on screen at once by like calling in multiple drones, or there happens to be a lot of bad guys on you, you will probably freeze up and the game will just make that weird sound and the game just dies. I had that happen to me on several critical missions. That was a pain in the ass. There's also, I don't know whether I'd call them game-breaking bugs, but I did have ones where I'd have to reset my console and game completely to break a bug, so it would allow me to proceed the mission. One mission where I went to the Nexus Tower, I had to reload the save and reboot my console completely, hoping it would let me pass it because I wasn't able to interact with an elevator, because somehow, someway, I died controlling a drone through these air vents, and the game didn't like that. And it decided to let me know in the loudest and most obnoxious way possible. So that's not good to speak well about the optimization for this particular title on the hardware that I am currently reviewing it on. Graphic-wise, when this game is running at its proper speed, it looks pretty cool. It's pretty awesome seeing a near-future London with all that kind of future neon splash. There's holographic displays. Your clothes look kind of cool. Like one outfit I have for my operative, William Kingsley, who's the former Albion Merc. I have like this glow-in-the-dark t-shirt, this awesome Hope County hoodie from Far Cry 5 that I got through the Ubisoft Club, or my Rainbow Six jacket, and these awesome Marty McFly like high tops, and these pants that look like something out of like Goonies or something with like all the pockets and shit. Cutscenes look a little weird. One weird thing that I did encounter, I've seen it happen like twice, is characters in the background will keep going amongst their business. I did have a few characters run into my cutscenes with, well, hilarious results. I have one woman who kept trying to get through me and the person that I was communicating with, and she just kept running into the person that I was talking to, not paying them any mind. So AI in this game can be kind of derpy at times. Another thing that I did encounter, and I saw this happen once, because I'm pretty sure the characters you meet are just randomly generated outside of the ones that are made for your specific playthrough. Like, I have the Ultimate Edition of this game, so you're given 4 premium operatives, though I did find ones that were better in the world. And by doing certain objectives, I found them. But there were some interesting ones there. There's a guy called the Beekeeper, and he can summon drones to swarm on people. There's like a getaway driver where her hacks allow cars to get out of the way. There's very cool abilities. If you want my pro advice, after just spending 40-something hours with this game, is get an Albion member on your team. It will make your life so much easier. If you can get 2. And the reason I say that, it's so you can switch up guns. Having an M249 saw, and I think it's called the NGEV, light machine guns, do give you a lot of offensive options. I also recommend picking up Deep Profiler, which is a hack, which allows you to find out more about recruitment missions with people, and the AR Cloak, which allows you to hide bodies after you've like taken somebody out. But that all depends on how your particular kind of playstyle. Also, having the spider bot have the double jump is remarkably useful for getting masks, which is part of the cosmetic options in this game. So you randomly run around in a mask. Some of them look kind of cool. There's one that you get through the like Ubisoft Club, and it's like this Ubisoft symbol that constantly moves. That one does look kind of neat. The rest of them, frankly, look kind of stupid, I think. Like, I really don't get the pig and the monocle. Like, I guess take it to the rich, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is. Some of the animations for some of the characters look a little weird. The weirdest thing that I encountered, and I really wish I'd been recording gameplay audio or gameplay video of this, was an old woman, an assassin, that I was able to recruit because I saved her from Albion harassing her on the street. She literally pulled a Randy Orton RKO, like grabbed him by his neck, spun him around, and did like the RKO on him. And I was watching this at night when I was playing through, and I'm like, holy shit, vintage Orton. So that was really weird, just seeing some of the random behaviors that some of the AI characters can do. Enemy AI in this floats between being really good, where they actually will try to flank you, and being utterly brain dead, like to the point where I was having groups of enemies like line up to get shot with shot grenades or my light machine gun. I could line them up for almost perfect headshots every single time. Also, another pro tip, you can drive in this game, sure, and you can auto drive to locations, which is a great quality of life improvement, but just get a construction drone and fly, because you'll be able to get to so many inaccessible places. If you have the spider drone equipped with you, you can do so many of the puzzles. And that's how I was able to get almost 95% of the available tech points before the missions, before the real storyline missions really kind of amped up. I had all my tech upgraded by the time I did the first Clan Kelly missions, which I thought was actually kind of cool. Other than that, though, there is sound to talk about with this game. And I don't know whether this is unique to my particular sound setup. I really don't think it is. Car volume for the music just seems really low. Like, it's there, but it's not. Like, I remember Watch Dogs 2 having a much more memorable soundtrack with, like, dual core, which is my favorite track from that entire game. I remember Watch Dogs 1 had Rise Against, Satellite, I think it was, or Help Is On The Way. And I remember cruising around to those a lot and really, really liking them. There's also downloadable podcasts you can find where you find like headphones in the world, and there's like a podcast on them. I don't know. Sound design feels kind of weird. Like, the light machine guns don't feel as punchy as I feel they should. And I'm kind of becoming a bit of a gun guy. Like, I'm not expecting everybody to be carrying like 249s or PKMs or M60s or anything like that. But the guns lack the oomph that I want them to. I also found the rapid fire SMG to be almost useless. I preferred the DedSec pistol with a silencer on it for an offensive option. Although the DedSec grenade launcher is devastating against groups of enemies. I beat the final boss with 3 grenades and a single headshot from my heavy machine gun. So that was shitty, but it is what it is. There's a lot more of those puzzles where you have to do lining up the network layers, and it's more annoying in this one than it ever has been. There's one level where you're going through this like abandoned power plant, and I'd love to see how they tackle that from an accessibility angle, because I've got my eyesight, and that was a pain in the ass. I didn't enjoy that section at all. That being said, there are some pretty cool missions this. Like, there's one where you fly around as like a micro drone, and you're taking out heat sinks inside a computer drone factory. That's really, really cool. But yeah, they're just, I don't know, some of the mission types do start to repeat after a while. Like, I found myself, after getting all the tech points, I was revisiting a lot of these locations that I'd already cleared out. Like, I must have gone through Nexus Tower like 3 or 4 times. Or there's like a club you go to steal data of some type, and I'd already been there for another mission. So I was like, this is kind of familiar, and I don't think I like that. Combat is fun, but you feel less powerful than Marcus did. Like, he had that billiard ball in like a chain, and that was devastating. Here, old ladies can kick the crap out of you. In fact, I actually had one mission. I had stolen a car and I got yanked out by somebody, and I randomly got beat up by all these Karens. So it was really weird to get jumped by like your average Walmart greeter or your person who's clearly doesn't know what they're talking about in a Facebook argument, just beating the ever-living shit out of this merc. So that was amusing, if not a little bit fun. There is like bare knuckle boxing things you can do where you can gain more operatives that are really skilled in melee, and they do some pretty cool things as well. I've been rambling on for almost 20 minutes here about this game, so let's begin to wrap things up so me and Alex have something to talk about in just a little over a week and a half, 2 weeks. Do I like Watch Dogs Legion? Yes. Did I have fun with it? Yes. But it comes with a lot of big caveats. I might say wait until next-gen hardware so the game runs a little bit better. It might run really well on PC. PC is not my thing. I do not know. You will never convince me to play keyboard and mouse. It is not going to happen. Excuse me. I have been up playing this game for almost 20 hours straight. I'm exhausted. That's another thing to mention, too, before I close this out. This game just doesn't end. There are a few missions right towards the end of the game where it's like, okay, that's going to be the mission. Maybe they'll carry it on in the DLC, but it's a good natural point, like who is Zero Day and blah, 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 blah. Who's behind this Project Themis, these killer drones, or how does this tie into the main storyline? This game just, I think it overstays its welcome by just a couple of hours. So it's not quite Lord of the Rings Return of the King. You're like, oh, look, here's 17 endings. But to me, it feels like there could be a couple of endings where this game should have ended, and it didn't. It just kept going. I had fun with it, though. That being said, my impression rating so far, reviewing on the Xbox One, not the S and not the X, I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. I think it's worth picking up. I think it's worth playing. But I don't know whether it's necessarily worth paying full price right now, because I think Watch Dogs 2 was in some ways a better game, but narratively, but I think Watch Dogs Legions gets some of the core gameplay right. Also, I really miss the ability to blow up steam pipes. I talked with somebody on one of the fan pages for Twig, and I told them it's really fun when you start doing that in the original Watch Dogs. Here, you can do the bars on the street, which can stop cars, but they're so inconsistent as to when you can hit them, but that maybe just be a controller option as opposed to anything else. So my final playtime with this game was over 44 hours, give or take. And like I said, I had fun for about 90% of that. But I think this game might go on sale around Black Friday or Boxing Day. I think it's definitely worth picking up then. Or if you got this game as a Christmas gift, you're definitely not going to complain. But I think Watch Dogs 2 did things better in some ways. And Watch Dogs Legion takes a departure from the source material that I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of, which is weird because I'm like Mr. William Gibson, Mr. Shadowrun. I am the cyberpunk future. I get it. So anyway, that's going to be my review on the Xbox One. Me and Alex will come back and take a look at this again on new hardware in just a few weeks, and maybe I'll adjust this for my holiday gift guide whenever that coverage goes live. So until next time, guys, I have been Mike the Birdman saying be excellent to each other and join the resistance. I'll catch you guys again next time right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored
if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.